Hey loves, hey, it's me, your girl Catherine Gage, also KG Beauty Within, all things beauty and bling. And I'm here tonight because I want to just have a talk with you. I know it's 2020 and I know we have had so much going on in the world with our pandemic and everything, with the total deaths being over 300,000. I mean, this has been a year to remember. And I want to talk to you about something that is dear to my heart right now because I am also experiencing it.
You have tuned in to the Catherine M. Gage Show, aka KG Beauty Within, author, beauty influencer, motivational speaker, and YouTube creator. And don't forget to subscribe.
What do you do when you've had the job of your dreams and all of a sudden it's no longer what you thought it was going to be? What do you do? Especially if you have a dream that you have been working on for lots of years as an entrepreneur, and you're faced with something, whether or not you should stay in a toxic, hostile environment or you should move on and just pursue what you've been wanting to pursue all along. Well, I am going to be honest with you all. That actually happened to me. And it's kind of hard for me to talk about it, although I have talked about it. But to be candid with you all and be very transparent, it is a tough subject to talk about when you have to make a decision to leave something that you always wanted to do, something that you all your life you said that, you know, once you got out of college or you got your MBA, that you wanted to help people in this area. And I worked for the state of Missouri for 10 years, and it was a very good job at times, but then there was a lot of things that I went through that it kind of came to a head in 2020. November the 17th was my last day with corporate, and it was bittersweet because I have always wanted to be in the position that I was in. I wanted to be with this particular position, and it was something I wanted to do in order to show people how to treat others. And so what do you do when you get in a hostile work environment and there's no room for you to thrive and there's no room for you to move forward? I had to make a very difficult decision to quit my job. It wasn't something that I wanted to do. It wasn't something like, you know, I'm just going to quit. It was something that I had to do because of the situation and because of my health, my mental health. I had to make a decision for myself. As you all know, I am an entrepreneur, and you all know that I have a business with one company, a cosmetic company, and I also Mary Kay Cosmetics, and I also just started another business during the holidays, the Thanksgiving holidays. I started with my love for fashion with paparazzi jewelry, and I decided that I was going to just focus on being a full-time entrepreneur as a content creator and also with my businesses. And I'm going to let you know that the road has not been easy. And I'm going to give you some tips on what you should do in 2020 and beyond if you feel that you are in a position where you want to leave your corporate job. And we always say that. We always say, well, I'm an entrepreneur and I want to go full-time in my business and I want to leave corporate America. Well, I'm going to give you some things that you should do and give you some things that really do happen and through some of the things that you may go through during that journey. I watched my great friend on YouTube named Vanessa Lau, and she did a video many years ago about leaving corporate. And I would go back to that video and all her content from time to time, because I knew at a time in my life that that was going to be me. I knew that there was going to be a time in my life that I was going to have to make a jump. And when God told me to jump, it wasn't easy. He told me to jump because he had allowed me to jump many times before. But he told me to jump this time because of the situation I was in. It was not a healthy situation on my job. Although I loved my job and I wanted to stay, I just knew that it was time. So a lot of people always ask, how do you know that it's time to quit your job? And how do you know when it's time to pursue your passion and your dream? Well, I tried my best to not leave my position. And because I did not obey God the first time, things got worse. And it was to the point where it was affecting me mentally, where I was having anxiety. And I knew that it was just not a healthy thing for me to stay there. And so with the help of my husband and my family, my sisters and my family, I talked to them. And my husband and I decided that it was time for me to leave. Now, there are some things that I wish I had done before I left corporate or left my job that would have put me in a better position. So I'm going to give you some tips on what you should do, because I don't want you to do, I know that you should jump, but I don't want you to jump foolishly. I don't want you to jump before your time, and I don't want you to jump blindly. So I'm going to give you some tips on what you should do. The first thing that you need to do is that you need to count up the cost of how many expenses you would have. Now, if you're single, it may not be feasible for you to jump the first time when you want to jump and leave your corporate if you don't have something to back you up. Now, I did this once before. I jumped and I left a full-time job to go back to school. But the reason I did that was because I was wanting to better myself. And when I went back to school, I had financial aid, and I had different things that I had that would help me during that time of going back to school. And so that all was a part of helping me go back to school. And plus, I also have an eye disease, so I also had the rehabilitation for the blind services that also was a part of me jumping and leaving that position and going back to school. Now, when you are a single person, or even if you're married, you need to sit down and count up your expenses to see, especially in your business, you need to count up your expenses to see how much it would be for you to that you would need each month. Because when you're out here and you're doing your business, your business is going to be based upon things that you do as far as the money coming in and sales. And a lot of times the money is not going to come in as quickly as knowing that you have a 9-to-5 job and you're getting paid every week or getting paid every 2 weeks. I will let you know that it is very scary. Now, the second thing that you need to do that I wish I had did more of is that you need to have some type of savings. To be quite honest, I did not have the savings that I really wanted to have. In a perfect world, I would have wanted to have at least $10,000 saved up. That way I would not be so worried about the expenses as you see your paycheck dwindle down. Now, you also need to count up the cost of, like, okay, what are the alternatives of what I would do if I need to sustain myself and my business is not doing what my 9-to-5 used to do. Some things you could consider. Would you take a part-time job? Would you be willing to downsize? Meaning that, you know, if you have an apartment and you have like a 4-bedroom apartment, would you be willing to downsize to maybe a 2-bedroom? Are you willing to move back in with your parents? Those are some real things that you have to consider when you decide to go and do a jump. You have to consider that. Honestly, I wish that I had more savings, because of the fact that it would not make you be as nervous when you don't make the sales every day. Because I'm in a service business, you know, I'm in a business where I serve. That's what I love to do. Although I'm an entrepreneur, I also take my entrepreneurship as a service. So you have to stay focused on the reason why you're in that business and why you decided that you wanted to be full-time as an entrepreneur. Stay focused on why you decided that you wanted to be an entrepreneur in the first place, because you're going to have some days that you're going to have some dark days sometime. I'm not going to be here and tell you stories. There are going to be some days when you do feel like you made a mistake. There's going to be some days when you will cry. There's going to be some days when you will pray and ask God, Lord, help me. Did I make a mistake? Because it's very scary, especially when you start seeing your income dwindle down. When you start seeing your income dwindle down and you're not getting anything in, then there's gonna be times in your business that you may not make the sales every day. You may not make a sale the whole week. So, and if you're used to getting a 9 to 5 and you're used to having that money come in, on a consistent basis, then you have to count up the cost of what you would do to sustain yourself in that time. Now, in my situation, I do have a husband, but my husband works. He works 2 jobs, so therefore, I don't want to ask him for everything. You know what I'm saying? So I have to decide what I'm going to, what I need in my business and what I don't need in my business. Minimize your spending and downsize on some of your apps and your subscriptions, because when you're in a business, a lot of times you have subscriptions that will help your business. For instance, there may be some advertising subscriptions you have, like for Canva, TubeBuddy, those type of things. You may have to decide whether or not you can downsize to something that's free that can get you by, or if you could buy some type of already preset package that will help you just to use the presets of the package that they have that will help you in your business, where you can just use that, pay a small fee and just use that and just make it your own, because those are some things that you're going to have to consider. Now, another thing you have to consider, if you had some things that you were outsourcing, you may have to start doing those things yourself. Like for me, I was outsourcing my editing, and I really did love outsourcing my editing, because editing gives me the blues sometimes. But now, because of the fact that I chose that I had a life change in my life, where I'm now an entrepreneur full-time, I had to decide to start learning how to edit myself. Now, that is time consuming, but because of the fact that I'm full-time now, I have more time to dedicate to that. Now, I'm not a pro at it. I use my iPhone a lot. I use my iPhone iMovie, and iMovie have upgraded. They have an upgrade now where it is a whole lot more similar to the iMovie that's on the laptop. So I'm very pleased with that, and that's what I use. And it does a great job. Of course, I would like to have Final Cut Pro, but at this time I can't get that. So therefore, I'm gonna just decide, I'm gonna do this myself. So you're gonna have to decide on some of the apps that are free. Now, there's some things that I have decided to keep, such as my website. Of course, I pay a fee for my website, and I've decided to keep my website. I was going to try to go to a free website, but to revamp a website, I paid money for my website to be built. I paid a young lady some money for that, and I don't want to have to go back and redo that. So I decided that I'm going to go ahead and do the $30 a month on that. I'm going to go ahead and keep that up. So that's a cost that I know that I'm going to have. So therefore, I'm going to have to make sure that I have the sales to keep that up and keep servicing my customers, and I know that I will be able to do that. So number 5, You need to check into your corporate company with your 401k plan or your deferment comp plan, and see if that income is available to you. Now, you may choose to borrow from that if you need to sustain yourself. And you also need to know that if you cash it out early, that you will pay a 20%. You will have to pay a 20% penalty. But that is something that you definitely need to look into. You need to be calling before you give your resignation. Call and check on that. Check and see how long you would have to wait before you can get that 401k. If they allow you to, will they allow you to buy out, or is it something you can't buy out? Those are things you need to know now. Another thing you need to check out is your insurance, because a lot of time if you have a corporate job like a state job, you're getting insurance at a discount, or you're paying a certain amount. When you decide that you're going to have your last day, you will have insurance up until, if you work for the state, you will have insurance to the last day of that month. The next following month you will not be eligible for insurance. Now they will send you paperwork and ask you if you want to keep that insurance, and that insurance is expensive. Thousands of dollars, and you may not be able to afford that. So you need to consider, you know, if you're going to be able to get on, like if you have a husband, are you going to be able to get onto their insurance? You will have to have your husband check out to see how much it would be to put you on that insurance, because you know you do need medical. Some entrepreneurs do not have medical, but there may be also, in the company that you decide to go with, they may have a plan that you can do as well. So you want to check into your health insurance and your health alternatives to see what are you going to do for your health, because you don't want to go without the insurance, but you also need to know what you can do. After you have given your notice and your 2 weeks is up, or your week is up, I would recommend a 2 weeks notice, because I always say don't burn any bridges. You want to make sure that you leave with a good attitude. You know, even if the situation was not nice, even if the situation was bad, leave with a good attitude, because you don't never know when you may decide that, you know, you want to go back to a position, or you want to go back to the state, or you want to go back to the corporate job. I mean, you may decide that you want to go back. So I would say don't burn any bridges. Make sure that you give your notice. Make sure that you are pleasant, and make sure that you know, don't mean that you have to be friends and buddy with them, but keep a good relationship where you can at least be cordial during the last part of that time, and then when it's time to go, you can go with no regrets. You can go knowing that you did everything you could in your power to you know, to be pleasant and nice at the end of that position. Another thing you want to do is you want to talk to your manager and see if there's any projects that needs to be completed before you leave, so that you won't leave anything unfinished business. That you want, if there's some projects that need to be done, or if you need to train someone, you want to make sure that you talk to them and get an understanding of what is expected in those last 2 weeks of you being able, you leaving that position. Stay motivated. So I would recommend that you do daily motivations and affirmations. You're gonna need that. You're gonna need that every day. You need something to keep you positive, because you will have some days that you do feel low. You're gonna have some days that you're gonna feel like you made the wrong decision. You're gonna have some days, especially when your income is low and you're not making any sales, you're gonna have some days that you may cry. So you need to make sure that you keep something positive in your life. Daily affirmations, a podcast, someone on YouTube that you look up to, read your Bible. That is very important. Pray, ask for direction. And you also want to get you a mentor, someone that you know have been in your shoes that can mentor you. Make sure that you get someone that you can talk to and be able to talk your ideas out in, because you know, when you work 9 to 5, you know what your day is going to be like. but when you go work for yourself, things may not always work out the way you want to. So you may want to do something that I got this from Erin on Demand. She has a thing where she do her top 3. So every morning I do get my whiteboard out, and I put the top 3 things that I want to get done. She came up with that, and I watched her on YouTube, and I think it's a great idea. It will help keep you focused. So you want to get you something, 3 things that you want to accomplish in that day. That way that you will have some type of direction on how to, on what to do. To be honest, the very next day, once your days are up and you are on your own, you're not going to know what to do. That first day is going to be the first day is going to be an exciting day, but it's also going to be a day that can be very hard because you don't know what to do. You're so used to getting up, you're used to fixing breakfast or doing something for your husband and then going out the door and going to work yourself. So that very first day may not be may not go as you plan. But it's okay. You have to just regroup yourself and write down your things that you want to accomplish, and then do that the next day. As you keep doing it, it's going to get better. The last thing I would say is that you're going to have a social presence with videos and presentations on social media. You need to be in front of social media all the time. So if you're not comfortable with going live, you need to start going live because of the fact you have a service, you have a business, you have products, and you want to be in front of the people. You can start out with a group. If you have your own personal group, that would be the first place you can start going live. If you're not comfortable going live, you can go live with the group. You can go live in your group and you can let them know, I am doing this as a test. Now, I also want you to know that I do have a page. It's called KG Beauty Within Test Page. It's a page that you can just, if you would like to join that page on Facebook, it's a place for entrepreneurs just to test out your ideas. It's a no judgment zone, and it doesn't matter what business you're in. If you would like to be a part of that and go on my page and test out some things, go ahead and do that. I made that page especially for entrepreneurs because there are times, especially when you're doing Zoom, you know, we're in the virtual world now, and there's times when you don't know, you may have to learn some things about Zoom, and before you go live, if you want to test it on my KG Beauty Within test page, you go ahead and do it. It's not there for anyone to try to steal your ideas. It's a place for entrepreneurs to feel safe. You know, before you go live, before you hit the live button, if you want to come on that page and you want to practice going live, you have my permission to do that. I want you to do that. I made that page for entrepreneurs because I want you to have a great experience as an entrepreneur. As when you do your lives and when you do your social media, I want you to have confidence, because you're going to have to get that confidence on camera. And if you don't have that confidence, then I have created a page for you, and I want you to be able to join that page and just know that it's for you. And so you're gonna have to also you know, do some posts, you know, post your products that you're selling, you know, do positive affirmation, do things that engage your audience, engage your groups, because they are going to be there for you. Another thing that I did is that I sent a letter, or project broadcast is what I do. Some people use Scipio or some other texting system, mass texting system. I text my customers to let them know that I was going to be going full time in my entrepreneurship, and that I was requesting them, you know, for their support. I wanted to let them know that I appreciate them, and I also have a lot of games in my group. I have a lot of appreciations, and you know, so you may feel like, you know, hey, I made a mistake, but hang in there. You're definitely gonna have to, you know, have a social media presence. And so you know, the KG Beauty Within test page is there for you. And just know that on the times that you may feel low, or you may feel like you made a mistake, go back and revisit your why. Revisit why you did it. have that in front of you at all times. And I want you to know that it will get easier, and that you followed your heart, you followed your dream, but you also want to make sure you have your alternatives. Like, if I need to, I will get a part-time job. So you want to have the things that you are willing to do in order to make that work. This is just a few tips that I wanted to bring to you on entrepreneurship. What do you do when you leave corporate, or when you want to leave corporate? What are some tips that you can do in order to be able to sustain yourself during that transition? This is Catherine Gage, also KG Beauty Within, all things beauty and bling. Have a wonderful night, and bye-bye.